Hi there, welcome to the first episode of our Machinery Museum series, in which I will demonstrate, describe, and wax eloquent about some of the early American industrial machinery that fill my shop. Today we're going to start with the very first piece of old machinery that I bought back in 2002 or 3 maybe. I don't even remember when I bought this. This is the Champion Hercules number 0 30-pound power hammer, made by the Champion Blower and Forge Company of Lancaster, Pennsylvania. This was their answer to the 25-pound Little Giant, and it was designed to be used in the small farm-size, village-size blacksmith shops, doing things like sharpening plowshares and all the other miscellaneous repair jobs that you would need a power hammer for. I found this on an online message board classified website, pre-Craigslist. I don't even remember what it was called, but there's a classified ad with about 3 terrible pictures, and this machine was up near Chicago, Illinois, out in the corn country just south of Chicago. The price was right. It seemed to be intact and a good, easy restoration job. So off I went. I borrowed my buddy's truck. We called it Clifford, the big red truck. It was this old Chevrolet 4-speed. You know, you'd get to 45 miles an hour, catch 4th gear, and hit the interstate. All the way to Chicago. Yes, that was a long trip. Anyway, when I got there, the gentleman loaded it with a tractor, and I looked around at the other things he had for sale, and I went ahead and bought a chain hoist because I didn't yet have a way to get it off the truck once we got back home. When I got the machine, it came with it had the original motor with it, which is a 3/4 horsepower Wagner. The gentleman I bought it from said, "Oh, the motor doesn't work, but I'll throw it in free for a boat anchor." So of course I said yes. Took it to a local motor shop, and they discovered that the switch had just been wired incorrectly. So this little 3/4 horse Wagner has been running for me for over 20 years now with not a bit of problem. Another thing I did is made a new set of combination dies. These have been super useful for the type of work that I do. I started out just doing basic drawing on small stock, and then as we got into tool making, this did a lot of the work on drawing out the blades on our axes and adzes. It's lightweight, it's fast moving, and it works wonderfully on your smaller stock sizes. First thing I did when I got it home was re-pour the Babbitt main bearings. Not a big deal. They were in terrible shape. I didn't do a great job on it, but here we are 20-some years later, and they're still going strong. Another thing I like about it is the bowspring versus a coil spring. To me, this just seems to be a simpler design, whereas instead of having extra set of arms, the bowspring is both the main arms and the spring. When I got the hammer, it had a set of homemade arms that were in terrible shape, but I used them for another 15 years before finally replacing them. I built this set of adjustable arms based on one of the factory original models. This hammer has an adjustable throat, depending on the size of your work. This machine uses a slack belt clutch, which is my favorite type of clutch on a power hammer. Super simple, easy to adjust. When I press the treadle, it moves this arm, tightening up this idler pulley on the belt from the motor to our drive pulley. And by varying my pressure of my foot on the treadle, I can work slowly or quickly. Now, if you look up here at the head, you'll notice this is one of the only hammers of its size to have a factory installed brake. The Bradleys were pretty much the only other ones that did this. And while this brake isn't incredibly effective, it's certainly better than nothing. One of the unique things about this power hammer is its dovetailed guide system for the head. The entire piece is removable from the hammer frame rather than being cast in place like many of the other hammers. And it's easily replaced, it's easily repaired. You notice there's a joint where it separates from the main frame, and it's simply a channel-shaped piece with two dovetailed ways that are adjustable in and out, held by set screws that hold the dovetailed part of the hammerhead in place. The Champion Power Hammer was based on a design patented by J.B. McLean in 1901. Several features of this hammer were an incredibly simple and clean overall design, the bowspring mechanism, a double treadle that allowed it to be operated from two sides, and the separate guide system that we talked about earlier that was separate from the main frame of the hammer. The daily maintenance on this hammer is pretty simple. It requires oiling the main bearings, the idler pulley, the pitman, the toggle links, and the dovetail ways. Other than that, the only thing that needs occasional oiling are the motor bearings. I typically will use chainsaw bar oil, which is popular among blacksmiths for this sort of application because of its stickiness and tenacity to hang on to some of these parts. If your mechanical power hammer is not just hemorrhaging oil everywhere, you don't have it oiled enough. These things need to be oiled daily and sometimes even twice daily or more, depending on how much you're operating. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little video tour of our Champion Power Hammer. Stay tuned for more episodes where we explore other antique machines that I use every day in my shop. Well, now it's time to get off YouTube and go do something productive.